Throughout his career, Obi-Wan scored tremendous victories over both General Grievous and the fallen Jedi Darth Vader in lightsaber combat. In the case of Grievous, many on the High Council saw Obi-Wan as the perfect duelist to defeat the cyborg, with Mace Windu, one of the greatest lightsaber duelists in the Order's history, going so far as to believe that Obi-Wan was the master to defeat Grievous, with a better chance than even himself or Yoda. In the case of Vader, Obi-Wan was not only able to hold off the Sith Lord's vicious onslaught, but also score a decisive blow, disfiguring his former apprentice forever. A former apprentice who was able to defeat esteemed duelists such as Count Dooku and Jedi Master and Battle Master Sin Dralig. It goes without saying that Obi-Wan was one of the greatest lightsaber duelists in the history of the Jedi Order. But despite these great successes, the one opponent who was able to consistently get the better of Obi-Wan was the former Jedi Master turned Sith Lord Dooku. Although Obi-Wan fared better in the duel that took place in Revenge of the Sith than in Attack of the Clones, both duels resulted in Obi-Wan being floored and defeated by Dooku quite emphatically. In this video expose, I will explain why Obi-Wan couldn't defeat Dooku specifically in Attack of the Clones. Entering the duel with Dooku on Geonosis, Obi-Wan was a practitioner of the third form of lightsaber combat, also known as Surisu. This wasn't always the case, as under the tutelage of his master Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan chose to follow in the footsteps of his master and specialize in Form 4, one of the most aggressive of the traditional forms of the Jedi. However, following Qui-Gon's death at the hands of Darth Maul, a death Obi-Wan attributed to the lack of defensive capabilities inherent in Form 4, he chose to completely change styles, and adopt the defensive-minded attributes of Form 3. Obi-Wan's new Form 3 was the ultimate expression of defense, providing its users with a style that was impervious to all forms of offense. The form stressed the seldom use of sweeps and lunges, instead focusing on deploying a strong defensive cocoon to ensure the opponent did not score a decisive blow. Importantly, as we'll see play out in the duel between Obi-Wan and Dooku on Geonosis, the primary goal of Form 3 was to allow the user to preserve their energy through minimal and efficient defensive blade work, while at the same time tiring their opponent, whereby their opponent would become exhausted and forced to make an error through frustration or fatigue. When the duel reached this point, the Form 3 user could finally score a decisive blow and achieve victory. To understand why Obi-Wan wasn't able to reach this point in the duel with Dooku in Attack of the Clones, and why Dooku was so easily able to disarm the Jedi Knight, we must look at Dooku Style, and why it so perfectly confused and frustrated Obi-Wan, instead of the other way around. Whereas Obi-Wan had changed from Form 4 to Form 3 10 years prior, Dooku had been a lifelong adopter of Form 2, also known as Makashi. Form 2 was exceedingly rare among Jedi in the final decades of the Galactic Republic. Because the era was defined as an age of blasters, given that the Sith were thought to have been removed from the galaxy, and thus a Jedi was much more likely to face an opponent with a blaster than a lightsaber, many Jedi opted to adopt more practical styles, such as Form 1, Form 3, and Form 5. Form 2 was rarely adopted because it was an elegant style created primarily for lightsaber-to-lightsaber dueling, and with no Sith in the galaxy to duel against, Form 2 was looked at as impractical. However, Dooku's competitive nature pushed him towards adopting Form 2, a decision that would ultimately propel Dooku to the position as one of the Jedi Order's finest duelists. The crux of Form 2 was precision and well-balanced footwork. With such precision, the user could avoid leaps and acrobatics deployed by Form 4 practitioners, while also work to penetrate even the strongest defensive capabilities of an opponent. Through precision and a corresponding fluidity of attack and efficient use of energy, Form 2 practitioners work to end a duel quickly by overwhelming the defenses of their opponent and scoring a disarming or fatal strike. So what happened when these two styles met on Geonosis, Obi-Wan's Form 3 versus Dooku's Form 2? First, it's necessary to state that it wasn't simply experience that ultimately gave Dooku the victory in Attack of the Clones, as Obi-Wan's apprentice Anakin was able to fare much better in his go at Dooku despite being a Padawan. Rather, what happened was that Dooku was able to completely shut down the benefits of Obi-Wan's Form 3 and overpower the Jedi with the advantages created through the precision of Form 2. As previously mentioned, the overarching goal of Form 3 is to allow the user to preserve their energy and drag the duel into a drawn-out endeavor to tire their opponent, whereby their exhausted enemy could then be more easily defeated. However, the exact opposite took place on Geonosis, as it was Obi-Wan who would ultimately become exhausted over the course of the duel, with Dooku being the one who would use efficiency and economy of motion to his advantage. As Obi-Wan formed the defensive techniques of Form 3, Dooku went to work at the Jedi's defenses with extremely precise and unpredictable strokes, jabs, and feints. At the same time, the precision of Dooku's defensive Form 2 techniques forced Obi-Wan to attack with exaggerated sweeps and parries to keep up with the Sith Lord, many of which simply missed completely. This forced Obi-Wan to retreat and to rely upon numerous scrambles to give him the distance that he needed, rapidly fatiguing the Jedi Knight. As the duel neared its end, it was Dooku with the overwhelming advantage, as not only was he able to utilize the efficiency of Form 2 to preserve his own energy, he succeeded in exhausting Obi-Wan by forcing him to defend against the Sith Lord's onslaught. Ultimately, Dooku was able to take advantage of the situation and disarm Obi-Wan with 2 glancing blows, and without the intervention of both Anakin and Yoda, Obi-Wan's efforts in the Clone War would have come to an end on Geonosis. So there we have it, why Obi-Wan couldn't defeat Dooku in Attack of the Clones. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions. Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. If not for me, for the ultimate expression of defense.